welcome to my Q&A. This is Fluffy for the people. Oh, there goes Fluffy. For the people who remember Miss Fluffy from my house tour video, there she is again. I have picked out 10 questions, 10 of the most asked questions on my YouTube video, the video from where I lived in an old elementary school, and I'm gonna answer them for you today. So the first question I have here reads, this is a very interesting concept. They should introduce this to other countries. How long have you been living in this school? I have been living in this school since I picked up the keys to the school on December 31st, 2020, and I moved out in February 2023. And I decided to go away, to move away from the place because it was infested with mice and dirt and mold and leaking and everything. So I wanted a real place to myself, which wasn't fully disgusting. So that's kind of how long I've lived there and why I moved away. The next question isn't really a question, but it is something I want to address. This person wrote, I would most definitely make this into a beautiful house, break some walls and make them bigger rooms. So the thing is, when you're doing anti-squatting lifestyle or when you're renting anti-squatting, you cannot break down walls. I have to ask for permission if I want to paint my walls any other color than white. Now I didn't really do that in this house. If you watched my house tour video of this apartment, you will see that I have a pink wall over there, I have a pink toilet, I have a black wall in my gaming room. Most of the time you have to ask permission for that because when you're moving out you have to give the apartment back in around the same colors and around the same style as you got it. So you cannot just break down walls, you cannot just destroy everything, make different rooms and everything. You really cannot do that. So I just want to address that. When you're doing anti-squatting, unless you buy the building, you are not allowed to destroy everything and to change up the entire space. So just keep that in mind. Next one is a pretty funny one. It's abandoned elementary school living, but has like a $2,000 gaming setup. How? I'm not trying to be rude, just call me by complete surprise. So that's the funny thing. Most people who live anti-squatting, they kind of live with cheap stuff because you know you gotta be able to move within like 3 weeks when you get a notice like, hey, you have to leave the place. Pleasure. So when you get a notice of 3 weeks that you have to leave the place, you have to be able to just pack your shit and go. And so that's why most people do not have expensive furniture. For example, I don't own that much expensive furniture except for my gaming room because like that is something that I do for a living. I can't really just, you know, have cheap stuff over there because then my content and quality and everything will go down the drain. Most people who live like this, we get our stuff from secondhand stores, Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that. Just like cheap stuff or like things you can get for free, which helps a lot if you're, you know, like a younger person trying to move out. So yeah. Next thing is, I love this but wouldn't be able to live there without a lock to my hall or at least the bedrooms. You do get a lock, or there are little hooks on the outside of your doors of the rooms that you rent. You can just do a little lock on those. And on the other side, like you live with people that you will see every day. So it's basically like you have roommates. So you're supposed to be able to trust those people, and so those little locks should be enough to just like lock your doors for the inside people. Now you also have a main lock on the outside of the doors, like a basic just door lock, so that no one from the outside can get in. So basically everything is safe and everything is settled. You shouldn't be afraid of people trying to break in or anything, and if they do, just call the police like we had 4 times. Next question I wanna address is, they don't do this in the States, but this would be amazing. I would have loved this and cannot believe you say it's affordable. So it is indeed affordable to have an anti-squatting lifestyle because you are sort of renting the place but not fully. There's laws that go with this, at least in the Netherlands. So like I said earlier, when they give you a notice that you have to leave, you have 3 weeks. 3 weeks to leave this place. You just have to hope for the best that there's another alternative for you to live in. So there is different styles to this, there's different things, there is different anything. It's not a normal rental place, and yes, it is affordable and I am not afraid to share the prices. When I lived in the elementary school, I paid a total of €265 a month for rent. and that wasn't all in price. I didn't have to pay for the heating, I didn't have to pay for the water, I didn't have to pay for electricity, anything. It wasn't all in price. Now in this place it is different. I pay a lower rent, but I do have to pay for electricity and heating and water myself, which isn't a problem, but like, you know, you do pay, in the end you do pay a little bit more because, you know, it's expensive. So yeah, the prices are really low when you're doing anti-squatting, but there is a lot of downsides to it as well. Like the 3-week notice, that's crazy. Like some people do live with the constant fear that they get kicked out, but this is all sort of avoidable when you're just checking out the future plans for the place and check the newspapers, talk with your neighbors and stuff like that. You can really keep track of what you're gonna do with the place and when. So yeah, it's all, I think it all comes down to how much you want to look into it and how much security you want. There is a lot of ways you can avoid being kicked out within 3 weeks. So yeah, highly recommend if you want to live like this to just do your research and be notified about everything. Next question is something that I really want to address. It's a whole story, but this person said a haunted elementary school sounds terrifying. It was. Basically it was. I was super excited when I first moved into the place because it was my first living on my own kind of space. But what happened the first night that I slept in the place is kind of sort of an eerie moment while Fluffy is just laying here listening to my story. It's kind of an eerie moment because when I went to bed like normal, and in my dream, I was dreaming that night. I was dreaming very vividly that night, and I woke up in my dream and I was in the school. Like I was in the bedroom that I had in the school, and I saw people at my gaming setup and they were stealing my gaming setup. So as a normal person would do, I walked up to those people and I was like, hey, why are you stealing my stuff? This is my stuff, why are you taking it? And they're like, yeah, we're just gonna take it and you can't do anything about it. And I was like, okay, that's weird, can you like not do that? And they were like, no, we're taking your stuff. So I was, in my dream, I was like, okay, this is stupid and weird, but I'm just gonna go back to bed because, hello, I'm tired. So in my dream, I walked back to my bed, and that's when I woke up. That's when I IRL woke up. The moment I sat back down in my bed, I woke up. So, and when I woke up, I was sitting up straight. My feet were freezing cold, and I genuinely think that that is the first time I ever sleepwalked in my life. Normally I do a little bit of sleep talking. Depends on what I'm dreaming and depends on how tired I am, but I tend to sometimes talk in my sleep. But I've never sleepwalked ever, and that was the first time I officially sleepwalked, and I was petrified after. I was terrified. I was so scared because I was like, what the hell happened? So that is also, I didn't have sort of like an inside lock on my bedroom. From that moment on, I did have something under the door. I asked my dad the next morning to make something so that I can stick it under the door. You know that when you push down the handle, it will get stuck underneath. So basically when you put a chair underneath your door, my dad made sort of like a cross so that like it couldn't go down. And from that moment, from that night, that dream, I never slept without my doors locked. I could do a lock on the inside, like my dad could easily fix that for me, but I didn't want to do that because what if there's like a fire that breaks out and you're locked on the inside while you're like tired and sleepy? It's gonna be a hard time to open that lock. And also you need to have your keys on hand every time. It wasn't the greatest idea to do a lock on the inside, but that is one of my very creepy stories that I experienced. And that was literally the first night that I slept there. Then like I said earlier, the break-ins, we've had 4 break-in attempts, and the first one was at the front door at night. There was a group, like I think it was 3 men or something. They were trying to break open the door. And then we came up like, hey, you know, like this is our place, get out of here. And they were like, oh, sorry, we didn't know there were people here. You know, like that was a bit scary. We called the police and like, you know, they ran away and everything. The second time was in the back. We had a back door for the people who watch the video. It's the door that leads to the backyard, to where the jacuzzi room is. They were again like 2 men trying to get in that door. But my neighbor, my housemate, he was at home, so he woke up and he was like, what the hell are you doing? And they were like, yeah, we lost our ball, the ball is on the roof. Like, it was a sketchy story. And he didn't really believe it, so he was like, you know, like, just go away. And they did, and we called the police again. Then the third time, we didn't caught people like red-handed, but we came home and there was a circle being cut into the glass at the door that leads to my other neighbor's house. So we had, you could say that we've had like 3 big entrances that were, that you were being able to like actually use and open. And the third one was at my other neighbor's place. And he used that to like go outside for a smoke or something like that. Or, you know, just when he quickly had to, you know, like get some air or whatever. At that door was a little glass panel to the side so you could just like look out who was there or who was on the place or whatever. I don't know why, you know, there was just a bit of glass. So he got home one day and he looked into it and there was literally a circle being cut in the glass, and they didn't fully cut it through, so they did use like a glass cutter, but they didn't get through, and I think, or we all think, that someone caught them in the act, and that's why they stopped doing it. Of course, we called the police again, we called the landlord, and the landlord, like, you know, he basically told us like, yeah, just put a piece of wood in front of it and go with the flow. So we did that. Yeah. That was it. And the 4th time wasn't really a break-in attempt, but some kids threw a stone through the window of that neighbor. I wasn't at home at the time, but my housemates were. So he saw that happening, they saw them running away, so he sprinted after them, you know, and he held onto one of those guys. He even had one of their bicycles and stuff. Called the police, you know, the police took them away, and, you know, their parents were called and whatever. But yeah, like, full window was just out. When I say my place is haunted, I genuinely think it was haunted. There's been multiple things happening in building. Like, in the end, like after like a year and a half, I felt so paranoid in that place. There were multiple points where I was calling my best friend like, hey, are you home? Like, crying because I couldn't be in that place anymore because it freaked me out so bad. You know, like hearing strange noises. I know the building is old and it's probably like the pipes, but you know, like I heard strange noises. I had strange dreams. Waking up at random times, finding random lights on, you know, random doors open. So yeah, a lot of creepy stuff happened over there in that place, and I'm glad that I was able to leave in the end. Next comment I want to address is it's a comment with multiple questions, and the first one is, how long do you typically get to stay in a place like this? I kind of answered that earlier, like about like doing your research. But most of the time, I think you can look around between like 6 months to like 2 years. Around those times, it's sort of like typically be in an anti-squatting place. Next one is, are there always big buildings like this where you share with others, or is there any time you get a place to yourself? Right now, I live in an apartment and I have this all to myself. It depends on how big the apartment is that you're gonna rent, because the bigger the apartment, the more they will ask for you to move in with either a friend or a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. So yeah, that depends. There's also old offices that they use, and if you have an old office, you just most of the time you rent like an office room, and then you will have like all your neighbors because they will rent other office rooms. I know multiple people who still live in an elementary school, so they share that of course with other people. Next question is, if it's always with others, do you get to stay with the same group of people? I'm so envious. It seems super cool way to live, depending on how long you get to settle in for that. Yes, if you stay with other people. So we had, like I said, I shared the building with 2 neighbors, the school at least. And we had plans to stick together, but I moved out earlier than they did, so we weren't looking for something to share together, and they were bound to the place that we lived in, or like the city that we lived in. So the next question is, or next comment I want to address is a pretty long comment, so I will just sum it up. Basically, this person was asking about the gym or the PE room, what we had in the school. So what we had in the school was a very tiny PE room, which is very normal for younger students. So like really elementary school kids that go to the school, like they used to have PE in a tiny classroom because they weren't doing major sports. But further on in the street, there was a big PE room kind of gym where they also had different activities and different sports and everything. So it was used by the school for the bigger students, but it was also used by other companies who used it for like what did they use it for? Like, I think dancing classes. They use it for like kickboxing and stuff like that. And that one is still in use as of today. Like, that's the only building that is still standing up straight. Like, everything else in that area is fully mowed down. Like, they're ready, like in Q1 of the upcoming year, 2024. They're gonna start building. The next comment asks, the only thing I may worry about is the place being hunted, bugs such as roaches, etc. Have you experienced either? I didn't really experience a lot of bugs. We experienced mice. They were a big problem in the building, and they used to be a problem when it was still a school. So back in the day, it was already a big problem. They never really took care of the problem. They never really got rid of it. So we were also dealing with it. When it was still a school, like the children who went there, they're now like fully like 60 to 70 years old. We talked to those people. They already had problems with mice, so I think that's just really stupid. And when I moved out of that building, I took one of the pillows off the couch and I took a blanket off, and there was this big of a hole in my couch. Stinky! That is all the questions I picked out for you guys. I wanted to answer. This is one of your most asked questions. If you have more questions about this whole living situation, you're always welcome to ask those in the comments. I will try and get back to you ASAP. If you have any video recommendations, please let me know. I am so down to do more with my YouTube channel. I'm really excited for it. Anyway, if you've watched this video this far, I really want to thank you for it. You're a legend, and I really appreciate all the love and support I had on my YouTube channel for the last couple of weeks. It's been crazy. So thank you all. Have a very...
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Are you okay? Thank you all. Have a very good day, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye!